Evening all, welcome back to Space Engineers. Right, hopefully you're enjoying these videos, and I know we've not done too many commentaries lately, so I think from this point forward we're going to kind of focus more on the commentary angle, and I wanted to start with something quite fun. This was something that I had, I guess I've kind of been promising to do since the start of these videos, is to build a big ship. Not necessarily a Titan. Nano decided to try and build the frame of a Titan, and he literally just did like the front face of a Titan, crashed the game, couldn't reload it. So until the technical difficulties are maybe ironed out, we're going to focus on just big ships. So not Titan-sized ships, we're going to focus on big ships. So I guess in the universe of maybe Eve or Star Trek, these would be cruisers, maybe kind of moving towards battleships. But what we're going to do today is, I guess an old kind of thought I had in my mind is that, you know, when it comes to, I guess, mining, when it comes to space and that kind of thing, the first kind of interaction I had with that kind of world was Red Dwarf. And Red Dwarf is a comedy series in the UK. If you don't know it, you're missing out, because it's probably one of the finest examples of British sci-fi comedy ever. And sci-fi and comedy do go together, trust me, I know this. So I thought I'd do a little mini version of the Red Dwarf, because Red Dwarf is obviously, I mean, I always thought it was called Red Dwarf because it was named after a red dwarf star, but apparently not. It's literally the size of a city, so that kind of sucked a bit. But I obviously can't do a city-sized ship, but what I can do is certainly a pretty substantial ship with maybe 5-6 decks. Certainly, well, multi-decked is obviously something that I think a lot of people haven't really looked at yet, so we'll look at that. And really I just wanted to build something which was just a big home. So this is actually going to be my home. Instead of building a base on an asteroid, which I've kind of done, hopefully you saw that video, I wanted to build something where I'd actually live. And to do that, you kind of need to build something that is a bit of labor of love, and hence this ship. So that's the background behind this. The Red Dwarf as well is a kind of big Zeppelin-looking kind of ship. So as you can see, we're building the tail end here, and we're actually converting our mining, complex mining platform into the Red Dwarf, because I think it was a good place to start. Now, in my mind, in my world, in the world of Pyrex, everything has a color. So to me, black and yellow is kind of our brand colors, if you like. That's our channel colors, and they're what will make our ships, our battleships, out of. For mining to me should be red, and I think this comes from the fact that Red Dwarf was a mining ship. And I like the idea that, you know, your color code denotes the type of ship that you build. So, you know, that's my thought. So what we have to do here is we're building the ass of this thing. This is the rear. Now, Red Dwarf was always famous for having a really small engine at the back. Because in essence, if you don't know the story, let me just explain it to you very quickly. The Red Dwarf was a mining vessel for the Jupiter Mining Corporation, and it was on mission, I believe, to go to Titan. I hope I got that right. And it was there to pick up a load of ore and stuff. A malfunction happened on the ship that caused a drive plate failed, that leaked basically deadly radiation and killed the entire crew, except one crew member, Dave Lister. And Dave Lister is now, and what Red Dwarf actually had to do, because to save literally the ship, effectively to save humanity, because it really leaked a very deadly radiation, it piloted itself into deep space, and for 1 million years this ship flew itself into the deepest of space. Now, in that time, one of the crew members, Dave Lister, was basically reprimanded for bringing a cat on board the ship. And the captain found out. He found out because Dave Lister took a picture of himself with the cat on his ship's bunk and sent it to the ship's photo lab to be processed. So I think you're getting the kind of guy that Dave Lister is. And in essence, he was put on punishment, and he was put in stasis without pay for the remainder of the trip. Now, this accident happened while he was obviously in stasis, and 1 million years later he emerges from stasis, and he's the last human being alive. While this happened, obviously Holly, the ship's computer, which is a middle-aged man from Birmingham, as all ship's computers, I'd guess, are. He piloted the ship into deep space and kept Dave Lister alive. The cat that Dave Lister had actually smuggled on board was secretly was held safely in a cargo hold, and a whole cat civilization evolved. So a million years later, when Dave Lister emerges, there's only his kind of neurotic asshole bunkmate Arnold Rimmer, and the cat, who was the last descendant from this kind of species of cats, left on the ship. And that is the prologue, if you like, for Red Dwarf. If you have never heard of it, if you've never seen it, please go and watch it. Just go and find it, and you will encounter a wonderful, funny, cheap, crazy, silly kind of sci-fi that I think you just don't get nowadays. And you'll also see the picture of Red Dwarf, which I can't show you for copyright purposes, but in essence it's looking a bit like this. So there we go. Very, very quickly, that's Red Dwarf. Now, I wanted to build the Red Dwarf ship because I think, Red Dwarf has been around for so long that I think as a youngster I always loved the shape of Red Dwarf, this huge city-sized mining vessel with hundreds of decks and platforms and God knows what, just lost in space a million years in the future. That the whole premise was actually very good, and it was really good sci-fi, which I think back then they really did do, and I think they've not done for quite some time, which is a shame. So anyway, here we go. So moving forward, what we're basically building here is we've now built the hull at the back, and we've now then done a copy paste for the sides of the ship as well. So as you can see, this is coming on quite nicely. But what we need to do is now integrate the remainder of the hull into the ship. Now, what we do with this build is we don't just do the outside and say, there we go, that's Red Dwarf. We actually do all of the inside as well. So we build all the decks, we build the engine section, we do this properly. So this is going to be split across probably 3 videos. But hey, if you love this game, then hopefully this is exactly what you yourself are also doing as well, because I can only imagine the wonders that people are building from this engine. This engine is excellent. It's fun. It's something so new that I'm really quite enamored with it already. And I think a lot of what I was trying to do here was build something that I guess I was testing how much it could do. As you can see, I've built this pretty quickly. I think in all it took me about 2 hours to build the whole ship and then also fit it out. So that's quite a bit of play. But actually with the mirroring tools and the copy paste and such like that, it's actually pretty easy to do it once you become an accomplished block dropper. And that's what we'll call it, a block dropper. And as you can see, just getting all the angle plates is just for decoration, but I think if you're going to do it, try and make it look nice. But as you can see, we integrate our binding platform quite nicely here. This is coming on well. And I think really the purpose, I guess, of doing something like this is also to see how you can travel between the decks, because again, a lot of the spaceships I think people will build are going to be pretty small. Even the starting ones aren't actually that complex if you think about them. If you look at them, they're literally just single decked, maybe 2 deck, but really just single deck, and they've got a little bit of ramp and a little bit of this, but they're very small. And I think that's fine, but I think what I wanted to build here was literally a ship that you could get lost within. And I don't know if you remember the old sci-fi movies like Silent Running. That was a fantastic film, which it was literally just an astronomically huge ship with one human living on it with a load of robots. And it was Bruce Dern, I think, was in it. And it was just such a lovely, simple film that you just don't get that sort of thing anymore. Another one is Dark Star. That's actually where our name comes from. The whole, Unholy Legion of Dark Star is, I think it's James Cameron. Is it James Cameron? I always get that wrong. It's his first movie. He did it while he was a student, and he actually released a fully produced film. So, well worth looking at. It's literally a film called Dark Star. Go check it out. And it's cool because it's basically a huge ship that goes around the universe destroying planets. And to do this, they have the ethical dilemma of destroying the planets, obviously for the need of progress. So they've taken the ethical decision away, and they've made the bombs self-aware. So all of the bombs, these planet-killing bombs, have personalities. They actually have a moral decision that they make whether or not to actually destroy the planet or not. They actually don't leave it to the crew. And it all goes wrong, and you can only imagine, I'm sure, what happens. But again, really good sci-fi. So I think all of these are very, very typical things that have drawn together to make I guess, the setting for a lot of sci-fi today. Particularly, I think Red Dwarf really was, obviously the people who created Red Dwarf, which is Rob Grant and Doug Naylor, they had obviously seen Silent Running. They had probably seen Moon-Based Saturn, I think it was, with Kirk Douglas, where he gets his knob out. Literally, like all of these really weird old sci-fi films. I know Harvey Keitel, that was it. Harvey Keitel, when he was young, literally, tell you how old he was. Yet Kirk Douglas looked old as balls even back then. So this was like a movie from the 60s, I think it was, and it was called Moon-Based Saturn or Titan-Based something. I can't remember. I'll post it. But these are all basically huge structures in deep space or on moons that have literally one or two human beings on it, and it's all about how human beings interact with isolation and so on. So it's interesting stuff. You'd be quite surprised. So there we go. Our hull is nearing completion. Join us next time when we will start to build the deck, and we'll also start to build the engine room and the systems that actually make the ship more than just a statue. We're actually going to make it fly around and do stuff. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.